Wow, that's almost harsh.
That is a little harsh.
Uh,
Hey, welcome
well,
in,
yeah.
folks. We're going to talk about the data illusion today. So we're gonna dive right in. Feel free to drop in and say hi. Would love to hear from you. And listen, why are we talking about the data illusion, Bill? What is the data illusion?
A wizardry school here in America.
Yeah, yeah, there is. There
Not
is one.
quite. So, being like ancient in my age, uh, we've seen data change a lot in our industry, and not just the type of data, but just the sheer amount of data that we're
Hmm.
getting now. I mean, everything is monitored. Everything's got some sort of little solenoid, electronic solenoid on it, just monitoring some aspect of it. And so what happens is that it used to be back when I was a kid, and I'm an old man now. Back when I was a kid, it used to be more data was better,
Right.
and I'm not sure we can say that anymore.
Well,
Uh,
you can think
because
about it
right now,
over the last 20 years, there's just voluminous, voluminous data that is out there.
I mean, if we go old school, I could tell you back when I was a kid, we had three channels on the TV.
Hmm.
Now I can't even decide on the 300 which one that I even want to watch because
It
they're
takes,
all
so if I set aside 2 hours for viewing TV, an hour and a half is consumed trying to figure out what to watch,
exactly, exactly.
right?
So, so while that is really having more data is good, having to understand that data, and one of the things we always say here at Energy Road is that we want to take your data and turn it into information
Hmm.
and not just be data. So data, information strategy, strategy to action. But today we're talking about why is this a data illusion and what we can do to help you get beyond the illusion and get to the reality or what we call clarity.
Yeah. And listen, how we got here is Bill and I are in the energy industry. We quantify data on all sides of the supply side, the demand side, the storage side, the stock side, growth, decline for oil, natural gas liquids, refined products, and electricity. And what we discovered is we were spending over 30 hours a week trying to harness, well, if I just have this data set, if I just have this thing, then I'm going to solve what the future holds. So we were creating our own problem, creating a 30-hour problem and noise overload. We were confusing ourselves. And
And
that,
let's get to the base load. The base load is that we know that certain data is advantageous to us in our
mhm,
jobs.
yep,
Our problem was having to accumulate the data and then identify which data was the important data.
right.
And so what did that do? That led us into spreadsheet purgatory. If you know you've been there, I'm telling you what, I have looked at spreadsheets my entire career over and over again. In fact, it's when I first started, it was Lotus, not Microsoft. And so a lot of people don't even remember back that, but Brian does because he's got a good memory.
Yeah, I do.
Uh, and so you just get spreadsheet after spreadsheet after spreadsheet. I mean, I've seen screens with 15 spreadsheets open at the same time, and they still didn't know what to do.
You want to hear a good one? I've created so many spreadsheets that I knew that I had solved a problem, but I couldn't find the spreadsheet that solved the problem, so I recreated it.
Exactly.
That's
I
how
mean,
bad it got.
and if you've never drank from a fire hose, I wouldn't recommend it. But what that means, you got so much volume stuff coming at you, it's hard to pick out any nuances in the data. And so what does that do? You get more spreadsheets, and then you get more spreadsheets, and then you get more feeds, and you get more stuff coming in, and you're not smarter, you're just more confused.
Yeah,
But usually at a higher level about more important things.
right,
So
right.
as the saying goes.
Well, and that is actually part of the reason that we actually created Energy Rogue and Rogue Radar, which is our entry-level product at $89 a month that condenses the entire oil and gas market into digestible resources that are updated every single day, with videos, with PDF reports, with daily dashboards that tell you the fundamentals, the technicals, the news, the sentiment, and everything you need to know to get clarity. So if you're interested, there's a link below, 14-day free trial, and we help you digest the energy markets. They are wild. We make sense of it in a fast way, because what we decided was I can't spend 30 hours a week doing this because I have a job to do. And some of you may be hedging, some of you may be trading, some of you may be working in the energy industry and trying to forecast. And that is a tricky game because you're literally predicting the future. So we created that.
And it, and
Oh,
if
go
you get
ahead.
it wrong, you may not have a job to do. So we're here we're here to help you stay not just abreast of the information, but to be able to interpret the data to be ahead of the information.
Right.
And that's really where that's really the secret sauce to anything in the energy markets.
Yep. So if you're interested in oil markets, natural gas markets, refined product markets, or natural gas liquid markets or electricity markets, there's a 14-day free trial down below. You can see if it's for you. Just click the link. You can read our testimonials and you can see if it's for you. For our continuation of the data illusion, the cruel irony, you can get 3 times the data volume and you're going to get 0 on better outcomes. You're going to spend 40 hours a week. I was spending 30 and that was highly optimized. I had links to all kinds of different data sources and I kept thinking, I kept chasing. If I have this data set, I'm going to solve it. And the fact is, it's a statistical death spiral. And because the industry, the oil and gas industry, and the data industry, and the forecasting industry was built upon a premise that doesn't fit today's times. And that was more data equals more clarity. It's a myth because it's about creating that data, harnessing it into what Bill was saying, taking data to information, taking that information to strategy, and then using that strategy to bring action. And that's how you really transform. So myth number one, more data equals more clarity. Um, we've all fallen for this one. I have.
Yes.
Have you? Have
Yeah,
you?
absolutely. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, if I just do this one more thing and this one more thing, and by the time I get to knowing that one more thing, the opportunity I needed to take was gone.
Right.
It was out the door,
Right.
and so now I have all this data and know where to use it.
Yep. And here's essentially what happens is that you add a data point and you increase your complexity exponentially, and then accuracy improves maybe marginally 0.0000002%, and then paralysis sets in because you start trying to figure out, well, was that important? You're not
Yeah.
modeling reality anymore. You're actually simulating your anxiety,
This is
because
where
you're
the
in.
this is where the phrase from paralysis analysis came in.
Yep,
It's paralysis by analysis.
yep, that's exactly it. Now, then you have on the other myth, the gut still wins. Well, I have a feeling. I have a feeling. That's no structure. It is pure intuition. It does work sometimes. I've had many successful trades following my gut. What?
Yes, but that what gut was based on your experience and your time that you spend in time.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, I did like you said, it's gut is intuition. It's intuition based on experience not based on, oh, gee, I wonder how I'm feeling today. Hey, I had Mexican food for lunch. I'm not feeling that great. Or, so when we talk about your gut feeling, there's talking about the intuition that's based on experience. That
Mm-hmm.
gives you a higher average or a higher chance of it being correct, but not
Right.
necessarily.
Yeah. And then what we have levered into is what we call the rogue method. This is human intuition guided by quantitative clarity. And again, that is something we harness inside of Rogue Radar. It's $89 a month. And for those that really want an experience where we can actually have communication in our private Discord channel, that is Rogue Edge. It's $179 a month. So
And
pure structure.
part of the rogue method is that Brian and I don't always agree, but we know how to have those discussions without being angry or mad or anything like that. And we always go back to the data that we create and say, is that really what it's saying? Does it say this? Does it say that? And I mean, we just had one of those discussions this morning about
Yep.
LNG.
Yeah.
So I mean, those are the kind of things that we talk about every day.
Yeah.
And we're looking at it and we're testing the data with experience and with knowledge that may or may not be in anybody's data link. And so that's what you get when you get with the rogue method. Is you get Brian and I sometimes having animated discussions over where a certain piece of the market is going.
Yeah.
And so that's the rogue method. That's why we're different than everybody else. Is we actually can have a debate over it trying without
Well,
having a Jerry
because
Springer moment.
we are after the same thing. We're after truth, and we also offer space for different opinions. Bill and I have stared at the same chart and come to two different conclusions on what the forward path was going to be. So it's not about that. Now, myth 3. I'll just figure that out later. It's not important. A signal appears, the market begins to move, you start to see the market, then you're deliberating. What should I do here? Maybe I should hedge here, or maybe I should buy here or sell here. You finally confirm it. And then what happens, Bill? You
Then
get
another piece of data comes in.
and then you
We're
come
back to
right back here. And then you go to that new signal, then you go through another deliberation pattern, and then you confirm it, and then something new happens, and then you come back here, and you end up in this endless loop um, that actually creates the Mandela effect. No, just joking. I had to bring that in somewhere.
I'm telling you.
So,
So, but like we talked about, later in mark time is always too late. That's where you lose money. It should be giant dollar signs with negative on in front of them here, because I'll figure it out later means that you've given up, you've
and
surrendered.
and you're going to miss it.
Right.
If you're reading about it, it's almost already too late. And one of the unique things that we have on one of our testimonials came from a well-respected oil trader in the Middle East, and he very kindly said, "We take our view, we tell you what it is, and we actually predict and project into the future. As any projection, you can read the disclaimers down below, can be wrong. Do your own research. We're not financial advisors. We offer our opinion so that you can make a determination, but we offer our opinion. This is what we see based on our years of experience, based on the data that we're seeing, the data that we've harnessed inside of the Rogue method. So that's myth 3. Now, what is the real equation, Bill?
Man, you just got to figure out what's a signal, what's noise. That is like
Mm-hmm.
it all the time. It's like, who do I listen to? Why do I listen to that person? What is their past history? Why do I listen to this signal? Is it is it good? Is it bad? What's this? We're always evaluating even our own data where we
Right.
go, well, did this change? Or is everybody looking at, it's there's just so many different things that you can look at. In fact, as Brian and I were just again today, we were discussing natural gas and what its short-term outlook was looking like. And I think we may be probably not on the same page on that yet. And so Brian's in this case is the bear and I'm the bull. That swaps, by the way, on a regular basis.
Yep.
But so that's just today. So if you want to, if you're trying to figure some of this stuff out, and sometimes you just don't have anybody you can talk to or run it off of, or who even knows what you're talking about in your company, that's where Energy Roll can come in and be a real help for you to be able not only just to help your company, but to also promote your career as well.
Right. Absolutely. And it's about that separation of signal versus noise. And 20% of the inputs sometimes create 80% of the market behavior. But 80% of the data out there is just noise. And people hang on to this and filtering out what is important. It's part of the reason we have our daily crude radar and natural gas radar that gives a convenient, I offer my thoughts every single day with an AI summary of everything, technical analysis, fundamental analysis. We actually break it down and say, what is dry production? What was it on a 3-year average? What is our supply demand balance right now? You know, over 3 years, this is where Bill's bullish opinion may be on target because we are actually a lot tighter than you can imagine. So all of this is contained inside of something and it's condensed into a 5-minute read. And that's where we take all this data and harness it into clarity. And that's what we're trying to do is provide clarity so that you can see, well, what does AI think of the markets? We actually have that. We have an AI signal. We have AI projections of the market. Then we have human projections of the market. So if you are
And
looking for clarity, this is a great place to find it for oil and gas markets.
and we look at that because AI may not have the complete knowledge that we want it to have.
Mm-mm.
And so Brian and I are always looking at, we want to see what it says because it's fast. It can get a lot of data really quick. It can, but sometimes it doesn't know where all the data is at. And some of the data it brings in is corrupt. And so we, we look at it and sort of give it what I used to call the chuckle test, where you look at something, you go, oh yeah, that's not right. And
Yeah.
so
We actually published AI when we launched in 2021. We removed it until we harnessed it the right way. And now we're harnessing it in a way that provides some context. And then you can weigh how important that information is
right.
versus my opinions versus Bill's opinions.
And
So,
and everyone's going to have a different view in the market based on where they are at in the market. And
mhm.
you're going to weigh those differently. What we try to do is do it from as much as an objective viewpoint as we can. But if you have a specific situation that you're in, Brian, I can help you work through that too. We may have a different opinion about your specific situation than we would over the general market. So that's why it's important to visit with us and to look at all this data because we can help you go through that.
Yep, absolutely. So the radar analogy, most traders and the smartest ones, most traders zoom in on every tiny blip. They trade stocks, imports, sentiment individually out of context. They miss the forest from the trees. They react to noise, not signal. Now the smart ones, they zoom out to see what those patterns are. Then they zoom in and they zoom out and zoom in every single day. They track the direction of movement. They filter out the clutter, identify the signal clearly. And again, this is part of the reason our natural gas radar every single day zooms out and zooms in. So when you're looking at this, you don't need another data set.
That's right. Let me tell you something. Being an Oklahoma resident, we understand about radar better than anybody else because of our tornadoes. I mean, we're probably one of the only few states that actually name the radars. I mean, it's like Striker 3000 or some, crazy name. So we're always looking at the radar. We always got the weather screen up, and we can tell. I've actually been to storm chasing school, and
I've always wondered about you guys.
I have been taught what to look for, and you will hear things like the hook. Yes, I know there are drinking games based on tornado chasers and what words they use. I mean, it's almost like the second big sport in Oklahoma is the drinking games on weather reports. And so, and what towns are named. But what it boils down to is that if you're too focused on one little area, the straight winds over in another area can just crush you.
Right.
If you're only looking for tornadoes, the straight winds that can come in Oklahoma at 90 miles an hour will destroy your house without you even knowing, without a tornado showing up. How do I know that? I would love to tell you it was conjecture, but it is experience. And so, um, what we're saying is it's not the amount of data that you get; it's how you interpret the data. The more data you get, the more it's more important to be able to know how to interpret the data.
Right.
And if you're spending more time on getting more data versus the interpretation, which is what Brian and I try to focus on, it's gonna be a volatile situation in your work life as you try to navigate those ups and downs.
Well, what we
Try to
found,
make it as easy as possible.
what we found is the reason we were spending 30 hours a week is there were data providers that were providing no context, and there was context providing no data. So what we provide is both data and context, and that is that creates the genesis of the information to strategy, and that is actually the genesis of where you can create your own actions. So it's about harnessing the data, providing context to the data, and then you provide, as Bill said, Bill and I often don't agree. And guess what? If you have my opinion, Bill's opinion, AI's opinion, you have three different angles of context. And for those that are in Rogue Edge, you actually have all of our members providing context that gives different viewpoints to the same data sets. So, what is the Rogue solution? This is where the clarity pillars. This comes in with vision, velocity, and validation. Those three V's. Vision is being able to see the entire field. And this is where you zoom out. Well, are we oversupplied, undersupplied? What does storage look like? This is where the visibility, you zoom out and then you zoom into what variables matter. For instance, on natural gas, a lot of people track industrial demand. That moves 0.5% over the course of a month. It's not important. Look where the variables that matter that change at a higher velocity. This is the rate
Right.
of change. And this gets into identifying that rate of change, spotting inflection points. For instance, is supply slowing down? Is it speeding up? And then act on that momentum, right?
Right.
And
And so
then,
the thing that drives the speedometer on this natural gas is what we look at is the LNG and weather.
mhm,
And LNG is driven by weather in Europe. So
right,
we track all that. We're looking at that. We're looking at the European storage. We're looking at how much they need. We're looking at uh, how many LNG's plants are being built and when they're coming on and when those dates are. And realizing that 1 BCF change in the natural gas market changes everything. If a plant goes down, that's 2 BCF that goes off the market. All of a sudden, the volatility goes nuts, and you're trying to figure out why you just lost a bunch of money on your natural gas. These are the kind of things that we look at. That's why that um, vol the velocity is a really big thing.
yeah, velocity, and then validation. This is when you get to conclude, and if you have some question marks, then you evaluate that over and over. So the old rule, more data equals more insight. The new rule, and which is false in today's times. 20 years ago, that was true. Not
Yes.
today. Today, a better signal gives you faster conviction. So the rogue method condenses 30 hours of work, which is what we do in our service, into 5 minutes of clarity. So it's figuring out what variables move the needle. And it's not magic. It's ruthless prioritization of signal over noise. So that is the data illusion, and that's part of the reason that we solved it for oil and gas markets, and we actually provide in our Rogue Radar, we provide all of these thoughts on a daily basis. Plus, we get 2 PDF reports that provide deeper context about the narrative of the market, along with convenient red light, green light signals, so that we can identify, well, storage is looking bearish on natural gas, production is looking bearish. What about crude oil? Well, there's not really a lot of bearish signals. There's caution flags, but this is what we do inside of Rogue Radar is we provide all of this so that you can have the right context. So that's the data illusion.
Because
Wall Street loves to use confusing terms to make you think only they can do what they do.
100%. 100%.
So what Brian and I do is bring this to a point to where it's hands-on for you. You can look at this. If you have questions, you don't reach out and get our voicemail. You reach out and Brian and I both will call you back. We'll have a video with you, whatever we need to do to get it there. Because Brian and I have worked in this industry for a long time. And we have decided with Energy Rogue that we can bring the market information that helps you make decisions and very, very basic and strategic decisions for your business with some clarity and with some conviction that will give you the chance to make that deal. So listen, we want you to come rogue with us, and it's time to go rogue and join Energy Rogue because
we're two dudes setting out with a common goal.
That is right. Well, listen, on that note, thanks so much. Thanks for spending some time with us. I appreciate you. Good luck on your journey. Feel free to drop us a comment down below if you want to hear about anything, if you're curious about something, or if you want to give us some feedback, because we're here for your growth. And so thanks so much for being with us.
If you just know a good barbecue place, I'm making a list.
All right, folks, we will see you next week. And listen, get ready for Turkey Day. It's coming. So we'll talk soon.
See you, folks.